going to say hello. I don't know. Just felt right. In Ronald Reagan's message to the 1986 Challenger explosion, he shows true feelings of grief and loss and hope. In his speech, he talks about the explosion, but he does not dwell on just that. He talks about being personally affected, the bravery of the astronauts, and the spirit of being challenged. He continues to examine what can be learned from this tragedy, from this explosion, and how we should and could grieve over it. He showed that the country is hurting, and through all this, we can still grieve with the families of the lost, but we should be brave in the face of adversity. For him, this was a tragedy that was very close to home. For him, he skipped the State of the Union that week, and he decided to give this message. The country, he felt, was hurting, and they needed to hear from their leader. At this time, the president was paying really close attention to the events of the world. He was paying close attention to the pulse of the nation. He felt the need to stop what he was doing and to focus on the main issue of the day. When he was speaking, he spoke clearly to the whole entire nation. He wasn't just speaking to the families of the lost. He wasn't just speaking to NASA. He wasn't just speaking to the people who were paying close attention. He felt the need to speak to everyone. And at this time, he was on video, so it went out across the nation. It went on television. They re-aired it, of course, and he really felt it was necessary. When he was speaking, he was prepared to do the State of the Union, which is a prepared speech, of course. And clearly, as the video starts, because you can watch it on YouTube now, as the video starts, he's looking into the camera. He seems like he's just talking off the cuff. Maybe there was a prepared speech, but it just seems like it was more natural. He repeated himself a couple times, so I really liked that it felt so real. He addressed the fact that there was a major tragedy in NASA 19 years prior to 1986. When this tragedy happened, he addressed that there was a tragedy, and he showed that it happened on the ground, on the launch pad, as some of you may know, and he showed that this way the shuttle had launched. We thought it was a successful launch, and then it exploded. So he wanted to address what had happened in the past, though. So even after all these years, I'm watching this video online, and I had seen it before, but it would have been, I don't know when it was, a long time ago, probably early YouTube age. And even through that, I could still feel the president's emotions. I could still feel what I consider to be honest feelings. I don't even think he could have hid it. Sometimes we try to do that. Sometimes we try to hide our emotions, especially when we're in public and giving speeches. But he didn't do that. And even though the speech was a long time ago, I still felt like it connected to me. Everything we do today is social media. Everything we do today is politicians versus the people. Everything we do today is Congress versus the people. And we say those politicians, and we say the Congress. But the president didn't say anything like that in 1986. Ronald Reagan didn't say anything like that. He never said, the people is feeling this way. He said, I. He said, me and Nancy. He said, myself and Nancy are feeling this way. And so he spoke about the tragedy, but it was clear that wasn't his primary message. His primary message, and I wasn't around at the time, well, I was, but I was super young. I wasn't around at the time, so I don't really know exactly what all was going on in the events of 1986, but he felt the need, and maybe this is just a presidential thing, but he felt the need to speak to them and say, stay strong, and say, yes, we're going to grieve, and yes, the families have a major loss here, and yes, NASA has a loss, but he wanted to focus on the fact that we're explorers, and that we shouldn't give up, and that not only not give up, but we should be stronger through this tragedy, that we should be more connected to this tragedy. And I felt like it was, like I said today, it really spoke home to me. We can talk about our current politics and complain about it, but what we should do, I think, is talk about the way it should be. Not how bad it is, but the way it should be. And if we focus on that, I think we can get closer to what Reagan was saying here. Throughout his video, it wasn't that long, throughout his speech, but he did move from grief to be able to find love through this, and he would go back and forth so that you didn't misunderstand what he was saying. He didn't want to be, I don't think he wanted to be disrespectful to the families of the lost. I think today it's important to be genuine in our lives. I think it's important to be genuine with each other, even in class. I do the online class, and it's great to see all are here. This is a really big class. I didn't expect to have this many people. But I think it's important to be genuine. If I was up here talking about this speech and basically say I was a politician hater or didn't know anything about politics, and you would feel that it's not that genuine. You would feel that I'm just talking to pass a grade. But politics is very close to my heart. I do follow it on social media. I don't drown myself in it. I think that's terrible. But so I have to be honest with myself when I watch these politics. I can't just pick blue or red or one side or the other. It's not really relevant today. And so in this speech that Ronald Reagan gave, it's what I seen. I seen he was not talking to a political spectrum. He was not talking in a way that he felt like it should be you know how it is today, some sort of a political leg up, some sort of if he said it this way, then he would sound better for his party or his affiliation or for his constituents and lobbyists. I don't know. I just felt like he spoke right through that. And yet today, it's not what it seems like. Today it seems like if you hear something from a politician of any level, even your local politicians, which we don't really hear that much from, but you know, you hear from the things that are happening when tragedies happen today. And you hear about the hurricanes, and you hear about tragedies we don't even hear about, like major flooding around the world. And it doesn't matter where you hear the source from, it's still politically charged. Everybody is doing the best they can do, and we're going to work together. It's these two people are doing good, and this person over here, this party, this organization, oh, they're terrible, and we're going to talk bad about them, and a percentage of their money is not going the right way. So anyway, I don't want to end on a negative note, but I do feel like we can learn from Ronald Reagan here, and I feel like he showed primarily love, and that he just wanted us to be connected together and grieve together and grow together. Thank you.